Hi everyone. In this lecture, we're going to go over building a simple Android app with Kotlin. Let's get started. So we're going to build an Android app called Pet App. This app will allow users to add, display, and delete pet information. The main goal is to see how these Kotlin concepts are used in practice within an Android app. I know a lot of you guys will want to build apps now and in the future, so this is a good practice for that, or if you want to just explore your interests. So briefly, the app functionality, we're going to have add a new pet by entering its type, breed, and description. We have to display the list of pets added by the user, and then we delete a selected pet from the list. So the concepts that we're going to cover is just basic syntax and structure, data classes, recycler view and adapters, user interface design with XML, and handling user input and interactions. Now, some of the parts might be more advanced, like recycler view, adapters, and handling user interactions, and they're crucial for Android development. We'll go over the code to understand how it integrates with the concepts learned in this course. However, a dedicated Android app course will cover these topics in detail. So that will be another separate course, because I know a lot of you might be using Kotlin also for other purposes as well, but this is a really good introduction. So the files that you'll need to create the pet app is the main activity file, which is the main activity of the app, which handles the user interface and interactions. Then we have the pet file, and that is the data class representing a pet with properties for type, breed, and description. Then we have the pet adapter, which is an adapter class for managing the display of pet information in a recycler view. Then we have two XMLs. We have the activity underscore main, which is the layout file for the main activity, and that defines the user interface. Then we also have the item underscore pet, which is the layout file for each item in the recycler view representing a pet. We're also going to add some code into the styles XML file and delete the themes XML file because they were conflicting. And this is just for simplicity's sake, okay? So we're going to go over how to create all these files and how to put the code into the files as well. And there'll be instructions in the description as well. So just to briefly explain it, we're going to go over this more in detail soon, but the main activity handles the creation of the app's main screen and initializes the recycler view and manages adding and deleting pets. We have the pet data class, which defines the structure of a pet object, including its type, breed, and description. Then we have the pet adapter, which binds the pet data to the recycler view and displays each pet's information. And then we have the activity underscore main XML file, which defines the layout for the main activity, including input fields and buttons for adding and deleting pets. Then we also have the item underscore pet XML file, which defines the layout for individual pet items in the recycler view and displays the type, breed, and description. So I really encourage you to, after this, to freely modify this app, add new features, change its design, change the colors, change the text, change the code. Experimenting with the code is a great way to deepen your understanding and also gain practical experience. We will walk through the code for each file, explaining its purpose and how it contributes to the overall functionality of the pet app. This practical example will help you see how the Kotlin concepts you've learned are applied in real-world Android development. Okay guys, you've created your files right here. You have the main activity, pet adapter. You make sure you have your Android manifest. You have your layout folder directory. Then you have your activity main, your item pet. Right here is what I forgot to mention, and this will be in the code snippet in the description of this lecture below where you can fetch it. But here in the values, you can go ahead and delete the themes XML file and just keep the styles XML. We're going to make some changes there. And once again, those will be in the code snippet and I'll explain it. Okay. So let's get started with the main activity file. This is the main, as you can hear it in the name already, main. Main. What does that mean? Primary, main. Let's get started. Right here at the top, we have the package name. This is really important to include actually in all of your activity files, because if you don't have this package name, it's going to throw an error. So you really don't want that, guys. The first line declares the package name, which in this case is com.example.petapp. Packages are used to group related classes and interfaces. It helps avoid name conflicts and makes the code more modular and easier to manage. Next, we have these imports here. These are also very important, guys. The import statements import various classes from Android and Kotlin libraries that are used in the activity. So the first one here, Android.os, is used to pass data between activities. Then we have, you're importing the button class that's needed, the edit text class, you have your toast for feedback. Then you have, your base class for activities that use to support library action bar features. Then you've got your, recycler view widget linear layout manager, which is the layout manager for recycler view to arrange items linearly. Then you've got your recycler view, which is a flexible view for providing a limited window into a large dataset. So those are really key. After that, we have the class of main activity, and this just defines the main activity of the application. This class extends AppCompat activity, which is a base class for activities that use the modern Android components and features. Then we begin to declare the variables here. And this is also something that you would do at the very beginning here. So first you declare the class, then you declare the variables. You've got all sorts of variables here. For example, the recycler view, which just, you're declaring a recycler view variable to display a list of items. The late init modifier right here, which all of them have, by the way, late initialization. It means that this variable will be initialized later before it's used. Just below that, we have the pet adapter, and it declares an adapter variable to bind data to the recycler view. Okay, after that, we have a mutable list. So it's a list that can be changed because it's mutable. It's not immutable, it's mutable. It declares a mutable list of pet objects to be displayed in the recycler view. Mutable list allows adding and removing items. And that's exactly what we want, guys. We want to be able to add pets. We want to be able to delete pets. We want to keep track of those pets, guys, okay? Really key. After that, we continue to declare variables, but this time, more specifically, they'll be for input fields and buttons. So, for example, the first one here, the edit text, declares an edit text variable for entering the pet type. Next, we declare an edit text variable for entering the pet breed, and so on for the pet description as well. Then we declare a button variable to add a new pet, and similarly to delete a pet. So for all of the different buttons and fields, we are declaring those variables here. Okay? Next, we want to be able to track the selected pet position. So we declare a variable to track the position of the selected pet, and the int question mark type right here means it can hold an integer value or be null. So it can be empty as well. So guys, we talked about the null exceptions. This is a great use of that. We don't want to be able to, get the application jammed and throw an error. We just use the question mark in there, put the null value there, and yeah, it's okay if it's empty, guys. Next, we move on to the onCreate method, and this is called when the activity is first created. So after that, the super onCreate calls the superclass implementation of onCreate. We didn't go over that. That's a little bit advanced, but just good to know. And I will have a separate Android development course later on coming as well, guys. So if you're interested to dive deeper, that's gonna probably we'll go over that there. Next, we set the layout for this activity using the activity main. So set content view bracket R for resource dot layout directory right here, and then we just declare or set the layout for this activity. In this case, it's activity main. What this means is that the activity main file, the XML file, will hold the user interface elements or the appearance of this app or this activity in it. So we're just directing it, hey, here's the code, here's the functionality. By the way, this is what we want it to look like. And just hop on over to activity main for those details. And that's exactly what the code will do. Next, we create a list of pets. So we're creating a mutable list, right? Mutable list is a list that you can change, guys. It's perfect when you want to add or remove items from the list. And that's perfect for our use case here. We're gonna go ahead and set it to 3 default animals or pets. We have the dog, cat, and bird. But you could do this with less or more items because, you know, it's a mutable list. But these are just some examples that we've just put there just to illustrate. Yeah, so we actually create and initialize the pet list with a mutable list of pet objects, and each pet object is created with a type, breed, and description, as you can see here. Next, we're gonna go ahead and initialize the recycler view. So the first line here finds the recycler view in the layout using its ID. So it's going to go over to the activity main layout, and it's going to go ahead and find the recycler view. And this is the ID. It's pet recycler view. We've named it in a way where it's easy to find, easy to identify. And, you know, naming your your items with these kinds of names is very convenient because you'll be just able to know exactly what you mean when you read it or when someone else reads it. Right below that, we're going to go ahead and set the layout manager for the recycler view. And we're going to set it to a linear layout manager, which arranges items in a vertical or horizontal list. You will see what we mean when we actually run the app with that. Next, we're setting the adapter for the recycler view. Okay, right here. After this, we're going to go ahead and find the input fields and buttons in the layout. So we have the pet type, we have the pet breed, we have the pet description, and we also have the buttons. So it's going to go ahead and find those, right? Then we set a click listener for the add pet button. So it just means that the button is active. Okay, we activate it. Similarly for the delete pet button. And when the button is clicked, you know, it will call these functions. So it will call the function delete selected pet, and here it will call the function add pet. When you click it, click the add pet button, it will call this function. When you click the delete button, it will call this function. So that just means those buttons will be active, guys, which is really important because we don't want to have you know, something that's not functioning. Then we're gonna go ahead and add pets to the list. So this first line here declares a private function to add a new pet to the list. Then we get the values. Then we retrieve the text from the input and convert it to a string. So we're gonna convert that input into a string. Now, the input could be numbers. The input could be anything. Hopefully it's letters, you know, at the alphabet, but whatever the case, it's gonna convert it to a string, so it's not a problem. what the toString here means. Next, we're going to go ahead and check if any input field is empty and show a toast message if they are. This function returns early if any field is empty, ensuring that a pet is only added when all fields are filled. So you're going to get this toast message. A toast message is like, a pop-up. It's a pop-up message that's going to alert the user, hey, by the way, please fill in all fields. Otherwise, it won't let you add a pet. Now, you could do this without it and let the user add a pet with not all 3 input fields filled, but this is just something that is included in this version of the app. Now, you could go ahead and modify this, delete this, or make other constraints or limitations or rules to the app. This is just something that we have. These toast messages are extremely useful for user feedback. The user will not be able to know otherwise, hey, I put 2 fields, I'm pressing the add button, I filled in 2 fields, I have 1 field empty, but it won't let me add a pet. Well, guess what? If you have a toast message like this, please fill in all fields, there's no way they're gonna be that confused. They're gonna read it, they're gonna be like, that was it. Let me go ahead and fill in that 3rd field. So this kind of user-friendly design is really key. So, but that's also something that comes with practice. Next, we're gonna go ahead and add a new pet object to the list, and this function actually creates this line creates a new pet object with the provided details and adds it to the pet list. So it adds the object to the list, right? It has the add command here. And this second line here notifies the adapter about the new item, which updates the recycler view to display the new pet. Okay, so it's added there, and it's all communicating with each other. Next, we're go ahead and clear the input fields after the pet is added. So these lines just clear all those 3 input fields. Hey, what's the type of pet? What's the type of breed? What's the type of description? After the users added them, press the add button. Let's go ahead and clear those fields. There's no need to, store them. If you did want to store them, that would be another case, but I think it's much more clear and clean if you do clear them. Next, we're going to go ahead and handle the pet selection. So this function declares a private function that takes the position of the selected pet as an argument. The next line sets the selected pet position variable to the position of the selected pet, right here. And thirdly, there's a toast message with the type of the selected pet. So it's just gonna go ahead and show you, hey, I've tapped on this pet, but when you're talking about a mobile device and your fingers, sometimes it can be difficult to distinguish what you've actually pressed. So let's say you pressed on the dog, but the toast message said selected cat. So the user will know, okay, I need to try again. I'm gonna go ahead and select dog, and then the toast message displays selected dog. So then the user will know, okay, I have selected the correct animal, the correct pet I want to delete. I'm gonna go ahead and delete that. And once again, you will see this functionality once we've run the app. You will see exactly how this works, and it will become very clear to you why this is so useful. And lastly, we have the delete selected pet function. The first line here simply declares a private function to delete the selected pet. Next, we're going to check if selected pet position is not null and executes the block if it's not. Then we're going to go ahead and remove the pet at the specified position from the list. Then we're going to notify the adapter about the item removal, which updates the recycler view. And then we're going to reset the selected position to null after deletion. And lastly, we're gonna show a toast message, no pet selected, to delete, which literally shows the toast message if no pet is selected for deletion. So once again, this is another method to just redirect the user. Hey, you're gonna go ahead and need to select the pet before you press the delete button in order to delete them. You can't just press the delete button and expect an outcome. Okay? Simply put, the main activity file handles the main functionality of the app. It initializes the pet list, handles user inputs to add new pets, allows users to select and delete pets from the list, and shows feedback with toast messages. Thank you guys so much. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next file. Next up, we have the activity main XML file. So let's just go over this first. We have the XML version, which declares the defining version and encoding. All of these ones at the top here are pretty important, just so the whole XML file works and it doesn't throw an error here, but I wouldn't worry too much about these ones. So the next line here is a constraint layout, and if it defines it, and a constraint layout is a flexible layout that allows you to position and size widgets in a flexible way. It serves as the root layout for this activity. Next, we just have an XML namespace for Android app attributes and app-specific attributes. We also have an XML namespace for design time attributes. Then we have the layout width, okay, which is set to match the parent, and height, which is set to match the parent. And then we specify here that the layout is for main activity. Okay, next we are going to go over this recycler view. And firstly, here in the first line, we define a recycler view. Then we assign an ID. So we have the pet recycler view. This ID is something that we refer to in the main activity.kt file. So it's very important to set this ID. The layout width is set to 0dp, meaning it will be determined by the constraints. Next, we also constrain the top of the recycler view to the top of the parent, so the top of the constraint layout. So this just affects the, the size and the shape of the way the views look. It's a little bit hard to explain without visuals, but this is something that we might go over in an Android application course more deeper. But it's just a design element that can be changed and modified according to your wishes. But for this application, I believe this works pretty well for now. Then we have a linear layout. And the linear layout defines a view group that arranges its child views in a single column or row. So we have the input layout, ID. So once again, we've assigned an ID to the linear layout, so it can be referenced in the code, in this case in the main activity file. The layout height is set to wrap content, meaning it will be as tall as its content. So it will be as tall as the text basically inside. And this is again something that can be changed, but for this example it works. The next line, Android orientation vertical, means that the child views will be arranged in a column. Next, we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of padding around the linear layout. So it's some extra space around it. It's another design aspect. You don't want to have it too crowded. Next, we're going to constrain the bottom of the linear layout to the bottom of the parent and also the start of it. And right here at the end, we constrain the end of the linear layout to the end of the parent. So those are design elements. Next, we have the edit text. And as you can see, we have the edit text for all three: pet type, pet breed, and pet description. First, we define an edit text, and which is a user interface element for entering and modifying text. Next, we assign an ID to the edit text that can be referenced in the code: pet type input, ID pet breed input, ID pet description input, as you can see. Then we have the layout width and height. So we've just, in the first one, layout width, we just put match parent. So the layout width is set to match parent, meaning it will be as wide as the parent view. The layout height is set to wrap content, meaning it will be as tall as its content. Next, we have the hint here, which says pet type, which basically just displays a hint in the edit text field when it's empty, suggesting that the user should enter the pet type. So it's kind of like a piece of text that already exists in the input field without the user having to do anything, so that they know what to enter there. And the same goes for all of the other three: pet breed, pet description. So let's move on to the buttons here. We have the two buttons, add pet and delete selected pet. Oh, let me actually go ahead, and if you click on this button, you can actually see the view here. So we have the items here. You have the pet type, pet breed, pet description, add pet, delete selected pet. So this is just kind of about what it would look like, right? And as you can see in this file, the way everything is ordered is exactly the order of how these are displayed in the app. And this is just, makes logical sense. Okay. So let's go over the buttons here. The first button here defines a button, a user interface element that can be clicked to perform an action. Again, we have an ID, add pet button, same here, ID, delete pet button. Then we set the layout width to wrap content, meaning the layout width is set to wrap content, meaning it will be as wide as its content, and the height is set to wrap content as well. Then we have the text, which sets the text on the button or inside the button. Add pet, delete selected pet. It's just nice to have the text there because then the user can know the functionality of the button. Next, we also set the layout gravity to center, which centers the button within its parent view. This is again just a design element. Maybe you want to have the buttons at the center of the screen so it's easy to press. Lastly, we have these tags of linear layout and constraint layout. It's important to close these. In the beginning, we opened them, and then we just closed them with this slash, and then again we mention linear layout and constraint layout because they're tags, right? So, simply put, the activity underscore main.xml file defines the user interface for the main activity. It includes a recycler view for displaying a list of pets, and a linear layout containing edit text fields for entering pet details, and buttons for adding and deleting pets. The recycler view is constrained to fill most of the screen, and the input fields and buttons are arranged vertically at the bottom. Right, let's continue with the pet adapter file. So we're going to go from top to bottom. First, again at the top, we have the package. This is really important, otherwise it's going to throw an error. Next, we're going to go ahead and import necessary Android and Kotlin libraries. So first, we use the layout inflator to instantiate the layout XML file into its corresponding view objects. Then we use the android.view.view to represent the basic building block for user interface components. Then we have the view group, which is a special view that can contain other views called children. The text view is used to display text right below that. And then we have the recycler view, which is a flexible view for providing a limited window into a large data set. Then we're going to go ahead and move on to the class. So as you can see, we have an adapter class here for recycler view. We've named the class pet adapter. And the whole line here, actually right around here, defines the pet adapter class, which extends recycler view.adapter. This adapter is responsible for binding the pet data to the recycler view. Here is the list of pets right here. And this is a list of pet objects that the adapter will manage and display. Right here is the lambda function that is called when a pet is selected, and this function takes the position of the selected pet as an argument. Right below that, we have our view holder class to hold the views for each item. So firstly, we have the pet view holder, which defines the pet view holder class, which extends recycler view.viewholder. The view holder holds the views for each item in the list. Right after that, we have the text view to display the pet type. And then we have the text view for displaying the pet breed and the text view for displaying the pet description. Okay, then we have the method, which is the onCreateViewHolder method. And this basically overrides the onCreateViewHolder method to create a new view holder. This second line right here inflates the item layout, item_pet.xml, and creates a view object. Right after that, we return a new pet view holder object that holds the inflated view. After that, we have the method to bind data to the view holder. So firstly, we override the onBindViewHolder method to bind data to the view holder. Then we get the pet data at the current position from the pet list right here. Then we're going to go ahead and set the text of the pet breed text view to the pet breed and do the same for the description and the breed. We also set a click listener on the item view that calls the onPetSelected lambda function with the position of the clicked item. Right. Lastly, we have the getItemCount method here. And this method overrides the getItemCount method to return the total number of items in the list. Lastly, we return the size of the pet list, which represents the number of items in the recycler view. So simply put, this file, the pet adapter file, defines an adapter for the recycler view that manages and displays a list of pets. The pet adapter class extends recycler view adapter and binds the pet data to the recycler view. It includes a pet view holder class to hold the views for each item in the list. The onCreateViewHolder method inflates the item layout and creates a view holder. The onBindViewHolder method binds the pet data to the view holder, and the getItemCount method returns the total number of items in the list. The adapter also handles item clicks and calls a lambda function when a pet is selected. Okay, next let's go over the item_pet XML. And right here at the top, we have the XML declaration, and also we have the linear layout. So here we just declare the defining version and encoding. The linear layout defines a linear layout, which is a view group that arranges its child views in a single column or row. Then we have XML namespace for Android attributes. And right after that, we have the layout width, which is set to match parent. So this means that it will be as wide as the parent view. Same with the, so the layout height is set to wrap content, right? So the difference there is that the layout height is set to wrap content, which means that it will be as tall as its content. Next, we have the orientation, which is set to vertical, and this means that the child views will be arranged in a column. We've also set the padding here, and this just adds padding around the linear layout. Then we have the text view, which is set to display the pet type. And it has an ID of pet type, which makes it easy to be referenced in the code. We've set the layout with the wrap content, which means it will be as wide as its content. And we've also set the height also to wrap content. We've set the text size to around 18 SP, which should work for now, but you can always make changes to the text size. This is again a matter of taste, a matter of design, but we've just set it to 18 here. Then we also have the padding there, and that is just to add padding to the bottom of the text view. We've set the text style to bold, which means, you know, if you have a Word, if you ever played around with Microsoft Office Word and you're making text and you want to make it bold, that's exactly what it's doing. It's just making it bold, which makes it easier to read, so slightly more, you know, user-friendly. Next, we have a text view for displaying the pet breed, and we've once again set the ID here to pet breed, so it's easy to reference in the code. And that just means referencing it, for example, in the Kotlin files. So yeah. Then we have the width and the height set to wrap content, which means that you know, they will be as tall or as wide as their content. We've set the text size a little bit smaller at 16 SP, and we have the padding bottom at 4 dp. After that, we're displaying the pet description. Once again, we have the ID, pet description, easy to reference in the code. Wrap content, similar as before, it will be as wide and as tall as its content. Text size, again a little bit smaller at 14 SP. And that's the item_pet XML file. All right, next let's go over the pet.kt file. So at the top, once again we have the package. Really important to declare that. It helps avoid name conflicts and just makes the code more modular and easier to manage. Then we're declaring data classes, data class pet, and data classes in Kotlin are used to hold data and provide methods like toString, equals, and hash code automatically. Their properties here are that the variable type here is string, and the breed is string and the description is string. So that just means that these descriptions will be converted to string. So whether you're putting numbers there or text, it's irrelevant because it will understand it as a string. So that means text. Next, we're going to go over the Android manifest here. And we've made some changes here to the original default ones they provide. So first we have the root element of the Android manifest file, which is the manifest tag here. Then we have XML namespace for Android attributes, which is the following line. Then we declare the package of the application, which uniquely identifies the app. Then we have the application tag, which is the root element of the application's components and settings. Here we've just set some values. So the allow backup, we've put it to true, so which means that the application data is allowed to be backed up. This next line sets the icon of the application. That means, you know, when you have a home screen on your mobile device and you see all the apps and the apps have icons, this sets the app icon. For this demo example, we haven't changed the app icon, but for future courses for Android development specifically, we will be going over that, and it's a really fun design process, guys. But for this, we're just using the default IC_launcher. The next one is a string/app_name. So that is the name of the app. So you see you have the strings file here on the left-hand side, values. We go to res, values, and strings. You open that up and you can see you can change the app name here. So you can put anything here. We just leave it to pet app for now. So that's the app name. It's just referencing, taking it from there, referencing it. It sets the application's label, which is displayed in the app launcher and other UI elements. Next, we set the round icon for the application, And after that, we indicate that the application supports right to left layouts. Next up, we have the theme, so it specifies the theme for the application. This line has been updated to reference the custom theme. So we deleted the themes XML file and we just updated the styles XML file to have this theme.petapp as the base application theme. Otherwise, it might throw an error if you have both the themes XML file and the styles XML file, and you have the theme in both. For some, it might make more sense to delete the styles file and keep the themes file. But for this example, we just kept the styles file and deleted the themes file. And we're just going to go ahead and take the theme from the styles file, so there's no clashes there. Then we have the activity tag here, and we just declare the main activity there. This specifies the class name of the activity. And we always need to declare all activities in the Android manifest so that the app works. Then we have Android exported as true, which explicitly specifies that the activity can be launched by components of other applications. This is required for apps targeting Android 12 or higher. Then we have the intent filter right here, and this specifies the types of intents that an activity can respond to. The first line declares that this activity is the main entry point for the application, and the second one declares that this activity should be listed in the app launcher. Then we have the closing tags, and simply put, this file defines essential information about the app, including package name, application settings, and the main activity. It declares the main activity that launches when the app starts and specifies attributes like the app's icon, label, theme, and backup support. Next, we're also going to include going over the themes file because that's a really important part as well. So firstly, we have the resources here at the top, which is the root element of XML files that define resources such as themes for an Android application. The style here is a custom theme named theme.petapp. That is the name of the custom theme. After that, we specify the custom theme inherits from the theme.appcombat.light.dark action bar theme, which provides a light background with a dark action bar. So in conclusion, the styles XML file defines a custom theme for the app called theme.petapp, which is based on a light theme with a dark action bar. This theme is applied to the app, providing a consistent look and feel across all activities. So this is, once again, the theme is something that is kind of an advanced design element. We won't be going into more detail in this demo, but it's something that's really fun to play around with if you are interested in UI. So you can change the colors and change the look and feel of the app. But for now, this will be good for this example. Okay guys, so for now we're going to move on to running the app. So I've selected here Pixel 6a API is 31, but you can choose pretty much any device they have there, and I'll put the instructions on how to set up devices in the description as well. Here we have the pet app. So as you can see, we have the dark bar here, we have the 3 pets here, and we have 3 different font sizes as was defined in the item_pet XML file. Then we're going to go ahead and add a pet type just to test the functionality. I'm just going to put here rodent. I'm going to put here hamster. I'm going to put here cute. I'm just going to go ahead and press add pet. Great, we've added it there. That's perfect. Then we're going to go ahead and test other functionalities like delete selected pets. I'm just going to click on this. Okay, cool. Notice how we have the toast here, no pets selected to delete. But what if I do select it? Okay, I've selected bird, but I didn't want to select that one. I wanted to select cat. Sorry, cat. Selected cat, and then I press delete selected pet, and it's gone.